Everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Couch Chat. Last week on the Couch Chat, I just talked a little bit about Mary, how this month of May is just a great time to renew, to strengthen our devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary and love this month. It's just a beautiful month as, kind of the April rains hopefully subside and we just get some sunshine. It's just a great time to be outside. So love the month of May. And as we're thinking about Mary as a mother, right? But before our spiritual mothers, she's the mother of Jesus. She's Jesus's own biological mother, whereas she's our mother by adoption, our spiritual mothers. So we look at her relationship with Jesus and maybe our relationship with Jesus. Maybe you've noticed this in homilies recently. I've really kind of been fascinated by this idea and convicted about the idea that Jesus wants to be our friends. That Jesus extends this gift of friendship to us. And that has its roots in the Last Supper. In the Last Supper in John's Gospel, Jesus says, I no longer call you slaves, for a slave does not know what their master is doing. I have called you friends because I've told you everything that I have heard from the Father. And greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. So it seems like in that Last Supper, Jesus is putting a new dimension to the relationship that his disciples have with him. Right? There's all sorts of different kind of ways this relationship with Jesus Christ looks like. Right? Sometimes it's a teacher-student relationship. Right? They call him Rabbi. He's their teacher. And even after he rises from the dead, he tells Mary Magdalene, "Go and tell my brothers." Right? There's this kind of sibling relationship that people have with Jesus. But this one with being his friend has fascinated me, at least for probably the past month. And actually there was a time, maybe a few years ago when it was kind of heavy on my heart again too, but just to look at Jesus wanting to be our friend. Because one of the things when we get to know our friends is that we get to know their family members. When we get to know somebody and we become friends with them, we get to learn all of their history. We get to learn all of their other relationships. And you think about sometimes you meet a friend and then you meet their mother, their father, and like, oh yeah, that's where they get that trait, or that's where they get that habit or that mannerism. I've had people that have met my parents and they says, oh my gosh, you are just like your parents. And guilty as charged, I guess, and I'm very proud of that. So, but when we get to meet Jesus, we get to meet his mother also, and that's part of this joy of friendship with Jesus. But we also get to meet Jesus's friends. And we don't just meet Jesus and we're just friends with him, but Jesus is like the good friend who introduces us to all his other friends, whether his friends are St. Peter, or whether his friends are one of the other apostles like Thomas, or Philip and James, whose feast day we celebrated last week. Or maybe his friends are ones that have existed more in our own day and age, like Teresa of Calcutta, Mother Teresa, or maybe we've got a particular devotion to St. Francis of Assisi. When we become friends with Jesus, we meet his friends also, and we realize this extended community of the church. Or even the co-workers, right? Maybe that means people in the church, Jesus's current friends, that we get to know them too. And ultimately, even in that Last Supper, what Jesus wants to do is to bring people together. And that is always something that we have to reflect upon. In that Last Supper, not only does Jesus say, I call you friends, but these very last words is he prays for unity. He prays that everybody may be one. And that's a good friend does that, right? A good friend, when there's maybe divisions or factions in his friend group, wants to reconcile, wants to bring people together, and Jesus does that, right? Jesus always wants to bring his friends, keep his friends as close as possible together. And of course, the devil wants to do opposite. The devil's always one to divide. He wants to separate. He wants to put wedges in between people. But the work of Jesus is always one to bring people together, is always to bring his friends together. So we just maybe allow ourselves to be the friend of Jesus. And when we allow ourselves to be Jesus' friend, we realize his great ability to bring people together. And of course, the devil wants to do the opposite, right? The devil's the great divider. And so we just recommit ourselves to Jesus. Jesus who wants to show us his friends, who wants to introduce us to the saints, and primarily he wants to introduce us to his mother, who will be our mother as well. So Jesus wants to be our friend, right? That means having a conversation. It means being friends with his friends. It means learning and hearing his voice. So may the Lord help you to be his friend. And know that Jesus wants to be your friend. No matter what you've done, no matter where life's gone or what baggage you bring to that friendship, Jesus is always willing, happy, and able to be your friend, just as he is for all of us. So have a blessed week. We've got another beautiful, beautiful time here in May. Look forward to seeing you in the future here on the Couch Chat. It's good coffee.